Imagine standing on a New Orleans street corner right now. The air smells like jasmine and praline and just a little bit of something you cannot name. Jazz drifts out of a bar 2 blocks over. And right in front of you is a house that should not exist. It is long and skinny like a railroad car. Its front porch sits 6 steps up off the ground. Its rooms line up like beads on a string, one right behind the other, front door to back door. No hallways, no compromise. People have been living in houses exactly like this for over 200 years. This design crossed an ocean. It survived a revolution. It outlasted slavery, 2 world wars, urban renewal bulldozers, and Hurricane Katrina. It carries the fingerprints of West Africa, Haiti, and Louisiana all at the same time. And that raised foundation it sits on, that is not just for looks. That elevation is the difference between survival and disaster in a city built on swampland 3 feet below sea level. This is the story of the raised shotgun house. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never walk past one of these homes the same way again. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome to Affordable Tiny Homes, where we dig deep into the most fascinating small home designs on the planet. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a drop. And if you already belong to this community, thank you. Let's get into it. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'm going to show you something that surprises most people. How a design born in West Africa became one of the most copied house styles in American history, and why in 2026, architects and affordable housing advocates are calling it one of the smartest small home layouts ever built. That reveal is worth waiting for. To understand the raised shotgun, you first have to understand New Orleans. And to understand New Orleans, you have to accept one wild geographic fact. This city was built on land that does not want to be land. The French founded New Orleans in 1718 on a crescent of soil hugging a bend in the Mississippi River, surrounded by swamp, bayou, and Lake Pontchartrain. The ground is soft. The water table is high. In many neighborhoods today, you are living below sea level. The early settlers figured out fast that if you build a house flat on the ground like you would back in Europe, the ground would fight you. Termites would invade from below. Moisture would rot your floor joists. And when the Mississippi flooded, as it always did, your entire home would become a bathtub. So New Orleans builders started raising things up. Brick piers, wooden blocks, anything to get the house off the ground and let air circulate underneath. That instinct to elevate became baked into the local building culture. But the shape of the house itself, that long, narrow rectangle of rooms, that came from somewhere else entirely. It came from across the Atlantic Ocean. Here is the part of this story that most people do not know, and it is the part that makes the raised shotgun so much more than a quirky regional house style. The architectural roots of the shotgun trace back to West Africa, specifically to the Yoruba people of what is now Nigeria and Benin. Scholar John Michael Vlach, who wrote the foundational 1975 dissertation on the shotgun house, identified Yoruba building traditions that featured rectangular rooms arranged in a straight line, gabled entrances, and no interior hallways. These were not just housing choices. They were cultural expressions tied to how families organized space, how communities gathered, and how spiritual life connected to domestic life. In fact, some researchers believe the very word shotgun may come from the Yoruba concept of tagun, meaning place of assembly. Others tie it to a West African Dahomophon word with similar meaning. The familiar explanation that the name comes from being able to fire a shotgun blast straight through the house from front door to back door is catchy, but it may be the younger of these two origin stories. When West Africans were enslaved and transported to the Caribbean island of Saint-Domingue, which we now call Haiti, they brought their building knowledge with them. On Haitian sugar and coffee plantations, enslaved people built dwellings using traditional forms they knew from home: square rooms, no hallways, rectangular exteriors. Over time, this style blended with Taino indigenous building traditions to produce a structure called the Kale, a narrow house with a gabled entrance and shuttered windows. Then came the revolution that changed everything. In 1791, enslaved people in Saint-Domingue rose up in what became the largest and most successful slave rebellion in history. The Haitian Revolution lasted until 1804, when Haiti declared independence and became the first black republic in the world. The upheaval sent waves of refugees into the Gulf Coast, and the largest wave landed in New Orleans. Scholars point particularly to 1809, when a secondary exodus brought thousands of Haitians directly to Louisiana after they were expelled from Cuba, where many had initially settled. This group included free people of color, enslaved people brought by fleeing plantation owners, and white Creole families. By 1810, black residents outnumbered white residents in New Orleans by a ratio of more than 2-to-1, with the city counting roughly 10,500 black residents to 4,500 white. This was a population boom in a city that desperately needed housing. And the free people of color who arrived from Haiti were builders. They knew exactly what shape a house should take. They built what they had always built: long, narrow structures, rooms in a row, with a gabled entrance and shuttered windows. The Cale of Port-au-Prince became, quite directly, the shotgun house of New Orleans. Scholar Vlach put it plainly in his research. The Haitian migrants had only to continue in Louisiana the same life they had known in Saint-Domingue. And because New Orleans sat on wet, spongy, flood-prone ground, those houses got lifted. The raised foundation was not decorative. It was necessary. 2 to 3 feet of elevation meant air circulation underneath, protection from ground moisture, resistance to termites, and a fighting chance when the river rose. Let's talk about the design itself, because it is genuinely clever in ways that go beyond its famous shape. The classic raised shotgun sits 2 to 3 feet off the ground on brick or wood piers. The front porch steps up to meet you. The structure itself is almost never more than 12 feet wide on a lot that might be only 30 feet across. Rooms run front to back in a straight line, each one opening directly into the next with no hallway separating them. A typical single shotgun might have 2 to 4 rooms: front parlor, middle bedroom, or 2, back kitchen. Every single design feature addresses the climate of South Louisiana. The raised foundation lets air move underneath the house, keeping the floors cooler and protecting structural wood from the constant humidity. The rooms lined up in a row, with doors at both ends, create a natural wind tunnel. Open the front door and the back door, and a cross breeze moves through every room without a single air conditioning unit. High ceilings, often 9 feet or more, push hot air up and away from the living space. Transoms above interior doors allow air to circulate even when rooms are closed for privacy. The narrow footprint also made economic sense on the crowded street grids of 19th century New Orleans, where lots were slender and property taxes historically tied to street frontage. You could fit more houses on a block, more families per acre, more community per square mile. The shotgun was the original density solution. The front porch was not ornamental either. It was the social heart of the neighborhood. With houses built so close together and interiors so linear, the porch became the space where privacy ended and community began. People gathered there in the evenings, talked across fences, watched the street. The porch is a major reason New Orleans developed the culture of congeniality and street life that still defines it today. The basic shotgun form was never just one thing. New Orleans builders, many of them free people of color who were among the most skilled craftsmen in the city, developed a range of variations that pushed the design in creative directions. The double shotgun placed 2 single units side by side, sharing a central wall, essentially a duplex in the shotgun format. This became one of the most common rental housing types in the city, allowing a landlord to generate income from both sides of the same footprint. The camelback is perhaps the most visually dramatic variation. Here, a second story is added at the rear of the shotgun, creating a profile that rises like the hump of a camel when viewed from the side. The front remains single-story, so the street face stays modest and consistent with neighboring houses. The rear addition gives families real vertical square footage without expanding the lot. You can still find beautiful camelbacks in neighborhoods like Bywater, the Treme, and the 7th Ward today. The double barrel or double camelback combined both innovations, twin units, each with a rear second story. Then there were the more decorative variations that appeared as the style matured. After 1880, the roofline began to evolve. Flat roofs gave way to gabled overhangs. Victorian gingerbread trim appeared on porch columns and fascia boards. Greek Revival facades showed up on wealthier examples. Italian detailing came and went. The shotgun became a canvas that absorbed whatever architectural fashion was passing through New Orleans at any given moment, while keeping its essential bones unchanged. By the 1830s, the design had spread well beyond New Orleans into rural Louisiana, where it housed factory workers, farm laborers, and railroad crews. By the end of the Civil War, the shotgun was the most popular house style across the entire American South, from Texas to Florida to Kentucky. Some southern cities today estimate that 10% or more of their existing housing stock is still composed of shotgun houses. The story of the raised shotgun is not all jazz and jasmine. There's a painful chapter in the middle. Through most of the 20th century, shotgun houses were viewed by planners, politicians, and much of the mainstream public as symbols of poverty and substandard living. The same narrow lot that made them efficient was reframed as cramped. The lack of hallways, which had been a cultural preference and a space-saving choice, was reframed as primitive. Beginning in the 1960s and 1970s, urban renewal programs demolished thousands of shotgun houses across the South, replacing them with highways, parking lots, public housing towers, and commercial developments. In New Orleans, entire historic African-American neighborhoods were erased. In Fazendeville, Louisiana, a historic black community built around shotgun houses was demolished in the 1960s to create the Chalmette Battlefield Park. The architecture of these communities was treated as disposable, and that erasure was deeply connected to whose architecture it was. But the shotgun refused to die. The Preservation Resource Center of New Orleans, founded in 1974, became one of the most important forces pushing back against demolition and advocating for the historic value of these structures. Architects and historians began to look again at what the shotgun actually offered. Passive ventilation before air conditioning existed, density without towers, community-oriented street design, and cultural authenticity that no new construction could replicate. After Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, the debate over shotgun houses became urgent. Many historic shotguns flooded badly. Some were lost, but the ones that had been properly maintained on their raised foundations, with their elevated first floors, fared better than many flat-slab modern houses. The storm underscored what the original builders had understood 2 centuries earlier. In this city, elevation is survival. So where does the raised shotgun stand today? The answer, in 2026, is stronger than it has been in decades. In New Orleans neighborhoods like Bywater, Treme, Faubourg-Marigny, and the 7th Ward, original shotguns are being renovated at a significant pace. Preservation Resource Center data shows consistent investment in these structures. Property managers and investors are noting that sustainably renovated shotgun houses in New Orleans attract strong rental demand, particularly from younger tenants who value both historic character and energy efficiency. Energy-efficient retrofits, including better insulation, solar panels, and smart thermostats, are being layered into the original design without destroying its bones. The colorful facades remain one of the great visual signatures of the city, and here is something that surprises most people. In New Orleans historic districts, homeowners can actually paint their shotgun any color they choose. What the city does protect with serious legal teeth is the structural and architectural fabric itself. The Historic District Landmarks Commission strictly regulates everything from the type of wood allowed on the siding to the style of the front windows and porch details. You can paint it purple if you want, but you cannot tear off the cypress weatherboards or swap out the original windows without a fight. The city takes the architectural integrity of these blocks very seriously. New shotgun houses are also being built. Architects and housing developers in Louisiana and across the South are returning to the shotgun as a model for affordable, climate-responsive infill housing. The narrow footprint fits urban lots where nothing else will. The passive ventilation reduces energy costs. The cultural resonance connects new residents to the places they live. Houston, Texas is home to Project Row houses in the Third Ward, one of the most celebrated community art and preservation initiatives in the country, built entirely around a cluster of historic shotgun houses. Macon, Georgia has experimented with renovating shotguns for low-income residents. And Louisville, Kentucky, which holds one of the largest surviving concentrations of shotgun houses in the country alongside New Orleans, has active neighborhood preservation programs dedicated to the type. Academics and affordable housing advocates are now pointing to the shotgun's original design logic: small footprint, natural ventilation, community-facing porch, density-friendly width, as principles that modern tiny homes and missing middle housing movements are essentially rediscovering from scratch. The shotgun house figured this all out in 1820. I promised you at the top of this video that we would get to something surprising. Here it is. The raised shotgun house is not a relic. It is a prototype. Every principle baked into this design 2 centuries ago by West African builders in Haiti and New Orleans is a principle that today's housing experts are fighting to bring back. Small footprints on narrow lots. Passive cooling through layout rather than machinery. Front porches that build community. Density that does not require towers. Affordability through simplicity. The tiny home movement, the missing middle housing push, the passive house standard, the biophilic design trend, the new urbanism philosophy. All of them, in their different ways, are arriving at conclusions that a free black craftsman in the Treme neighborhood of New Orleans already understood in 1815 when he framed up a 12-foot wide house on brick piers and oriented it so the bayou breeze would do the cooling. That is not a coincidence. That is what happens when design is driven by genuine necessity rather than fashion. The raised shotgun survived not because it was trendy. It survived because it worked. It worked in the heat. It worked on a flood-prone ground. It worked for families with limited resources and builders with limited materials. It worked for the social culture of a city that has always preferred the porch to the parlor. And the fact that its roots run from West Africa through Haiti to Louisiana, carrying the ingenuity of people who were denied most forms of power but could never be stripped of their knowledge, makes it one of the most meaningful pieces of architecture in American history. Not just a small house, a survival story, a cultural document, a 12-foot wide argument that beauty and practicality and history can share the same address. If this video opened your eyes to a piece of architecture you may have driven past 1,000 times without knowing its full story, drop a comment below and tell me. What is the most surprising thing you learned today? And if you want to go deeper on the design history of affordable small homes, my last video on the creolized raised cottage covers another chapter of this same remarkable Southern story. The link is in the description. I am your host. Thank you for watching Affordable Tiny Homes. Do not just dream small, build smart.